I have heard your questions about all the biohacking tools out there and specifically infrared saunas. And I have not yet done a podcast deep diving into the benefits of an infrared sauna. And even personally, I knew kind of the surface benefits, and I've shared my experience before about going to hot yoga. And I swore for years I would be in that hot yoga class. I'm like, this does something to your metabolism. And it wasn't just weight loss through sweat. I actually could feel my metabolism increasing. So, I looked a little bit into this heat stress thing. What does that do to the metabolism? But I haven't yet gone deep into infrared light, infrared saunas. What are all the different benefits that you can obtain from using an infrared sauna? So instead of just me talking on here and reading a list that we see on the internet about the benefits, I decided to bring on an expert. So today with me is Connie Zack. She's a co-owner of Sunlighten Saunas, and Sunlighten is the best. I am sorry if you are out there researching, and I get it. You're probably spending hours researching what's the best sauna. You can stop. I've already done the research. I have spent years researching what is the best sauna. And when you talk, my colleagues, other biohackers in the space, it all comes back to Sunlighten. And you're going to find out why today, why you need to go with Sunlighten. But I want you to learn about the benefits of an infrared sauna and how it can help you in so many ways. So Connie, thank you so much for joining me today, because I didn't want to do this alone. I wanted the expert here to talk to the people about all the benefits.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, I am too, because I continue to learn. And, even listening to you on other interviews, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't even know that. So I am beyond excited to dive into this. I want to start with, well, let's just start with what is infrared, because you hear infrared, far infrared, you hear about red light. Like, let's break down the difference of that so we have that basic understanding first.
Okay, so let's start with infrared. Let's start what it is, and then I'll capture how infrared is different than traditional heat. So first, infrared it's a spectrum of light that comes from the sun. So it's natural and safe and is needed for everything to live. It's delivered three different ways, really. So this is how it's different from traditional heat. So traditional heat heats the air and you get hot because the air is hot. Infrared works directly with the body. And so infrared is absorbed into the body, and all the transformation, all these wonderful results come from that absorption of the infrared spectrum. So it's delivered via heat, heating the body directly. It's also one of my favorite benefits is the light energy. Our body is majority water and mitochondria, and your water molecules in your mitochondria are activated by light energy. So when the infrared light comes into your body, it's activating these really important powerhouse cells and your water molecules. That's one of the reasons you get such great energy, which we'll talk about. And then also it's a spectrum, and this is really important. And we can go as deep or as surface level as you want in the spectrum, because there is so much science that's connected to each different wavelength. But there's essentially three different parts of the infrared spectrum. There's far, mid, and near. And that's where a lot of confusion is. And then you mentioned red, which is right next to near. So near is the invisible part of the spectrum. And if you think of like the rainbow and you see, red is the first colored light of the rainbow, right next to that is invisible. So that's near. And then right next to that is the first colored light, which is red. And all of those are part of the infrared spectrum. Again, that's working directly with the body versus being in the air. That's a high level explanation, but happy to go deeper, into each wavelength as you see, as you see fit.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely dive into each wavelength. Starting with the heat part, though.
Yeah.
To kind of break it down, because I know a lot of people are thinking, or at least have been in one of those dry saunas that you pour water on the rocks and a bunch of steam kicks up, and maybe people even still have one in their house, but that's kind of old school. I think nowadays everyone is moving to the infrared. So why is it so much better than those dry saunas from back in the day?
Yeah, there's lots of reasons. Some of the key ones is the experience, right? In an infrared experience, it's like having this wonderful warm blanket around you versus that feeling of walking in and you just can't breathe because it's so hot and you can't stay in there very long. And in order to get the benefits, you want to stay in there. I always use the analogy of when you're outside and it's cloudy and all of a sudden that sun peeks out, over the clouds, and you feel that sun rays and you feel this warmth and you feel this energetic feeling. That is infrared. That is the power of infrared. That is, infrared is the majority of the sun's rays. So that's the energy that you're feeling. And that is different than, traditional heat. Other differences between infrared is a lot of the science. We can talk. I listened to your wonderful podcast about detox, and infrared is very powerful at transforming your cells and pulling out really difficult toxins out of your body, more powerful than the traditional saunas. And the experience itself, typically in a traditional, a lot of people say it when they're finished, they're tired, they're zapped, that heat just zaps them. And with infrared, my favorite part is when I'm done, I have so much more energy. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Like my brain is clear, the fog is gone. I have all sorts of new ideas. I have more energy than I had before I started, which is amazing. It's very similar. The infrared energy is similar to like an exercise mimetic. It's very similar to that feeling that you get when you exercise and you activate the body and you move the body and you feel like your endorphins changing. You feel better. And it's a very similar mechanism of action with infrared versus traditional. So those are some, there's so many differences, but those are some of the differences. The other one that it's really important is the light aspect. So in the infrared spectrum, remember I said there's far, mid, and then near, which is light energy, which you get from infrared. And our bodies are human solar panels, right? Like if you think of your body when you're standing here, I am a solar panel that again needs that light to be activated, to turn on, to be charged. And everybody wants more energy and everybody wants to have that supercharge. And that's what you're getting when you're getting infrared light into your body, different than heat externally in the air.
Well, and you're so right, because most of the time and even in some hot yoga studios that I've attended, it's like a smothering heat. I don't even feel like they were using infrared heat in that room. They were just jacking up the normal heat, and they have a couple of heat panels going on. And it's just, it's like suffering when you're there. It's not a pleasant experience. And I want to have a pleasant experience. And you don't get the light aspect. I don't see any red lights, or I know you can't see infrared light, but there was nothing going on there that made me think, oh, I'm getting some light benefit as well. Now, on the detox side, it's interesting that you mentioned that, and I touched a little bit with my knowledge on that detox podcast, but that's a really big topic. And I'll even have listeners and patients asking me about best ways to detox. And, most of the time they're doing some detox protocol they saw on Instagram, or some, combination of different supplements that's supposed to detox them, or the Beyonce detox of cayenne pepper and lemon juice. But what we really want to do, I find it fascinating that you're saying that this can actually cause the cell to release toxins. So it's not just, oh, we're detoxing because we're sweating. It's much deeper than that. Can you expand on that?
Yeah, you are changing the structure of your water molecules in your body. So you're releasing when you're changing, when that energy is being transferred into your body, right? And your water molecules vibrate and they move, then you're getting this release of chemicals. And I mean, what was it? 700,000 chemicals we're exposed to every day from a recent study. And those come in, through your skin. Maybe you breathe them in, they're in your food. I just read an article that one of my protein shakes I get for my kids has the most amount of phthalates on like out of any food. I'm like, oh my gosh. I mean, I this is my field, right? And I mean, I had to get rid of all of them. Like, I'm not going to do that. So when you have all that, it weighs down your body. It's a lot of reason that people get tired and fatigued and don't have energy. And so you need to move everything. It's that whole movement inside your body that infrared's helping with. So you can kind of, to simplify it, just kind of picture, this energy coming in your body, your cells, your mitochondria start, playing and dancing. It's like, oh my God, I feel so great. I'm getting stronger. And I always say that, when the energy comes in, they're like little warriors inside, and they like put on like their armor, and they're like, I'm gonna fight and just be stronger. And all that movement and transformation and the water molecules bursting and then coming out, via sweat is helping, the body, detox, and also helping the body through your other avenues, like as far as urine, and like, it's just moving everything around in a way that doesn't happen with just hot air, because it's a different type of energy into the body, and it's extremely powerful. And the greatest thing about it is it's so easy. You could sit inside and receive the energy. You can have it stack and do other things while you're doing it, which is very few healing modalities, where you can double up. And I just love that. I love, efficiency, and anytime that I can multitask, with doing two different things, I'm all in, because, that's to me just a better way to heal yourself.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. And we're going to get into obviously the other benefits too, in terms of fat burning. I want to save that for just a second, because I want to stay on the detox. What I'm thinking, I have a lot of listeners and patients alike where we might be trying to optimize them. We're giving them thyroid hormone. We're even giving them bioidentical hormones, and it's just not working. And a lot of times I'll hear, I just heard this from a patient last night, I feel like something is blocking me. I feel like there's something inside my body that's blocking the cell from receiving the thyroid hormone, from receiving the bioidentical hormones to turn on that cell so it can do its job, speed up the metabolism or increase energy or hair growth or whatever. Now, in talking to you, I'm thinking, how simple would it be? And again, instead of stacking on 5 different detox supplements, going through a parasite protocol, a heavy metal detox, being miserable, this is such a simple answer to rid the body of the toxins that could be blocking the cell, and basically opening up the body to receive the good stuff that we're putting into it. And by that, I do mean the medication, the thyroid hormone, the real hormones, or just your micronutrients, macronutrients, your protein, to actually be able to receive that and utilize it in a proper way. I think something, like you said, it's so simple. We'll get into how, it's very affordable for all people, because you have a huge line, you have single saunas, you have everything from top to bottom. How simple is this for someone to incorporate into their daily or weekly routine that could really open up their cells to actually do what they're supposed to do?
How simple. Yeah. It's so simple. We have, over the past, we've been doing this a long time, and we've developed, different models to make it easy. So you don't have to, get the big, huge, like the one behind me. You don't have to do that, especially for detox. Let's talk about that for a second, because I heard, like I said, I heard that podcast, and I know a lot of people, if they're taking supplements, it's really important to clean the body and make sure the body is ready and prepared to receive these, nutritional elements for their body, right? So if your body isn't healthy and you're bringing stuff in, then it could just recycle inside your body versus actually, being effective. And using a Sunlighten infrared sauna to get rid of the stuff that shouldn't be there is a great way to prepare, the body. And we have a portable solo sauna. It's one of my favorite products that we've ever developed. I love it so much. It's so easy. It weighs 67 pounds with both domes. And I mean, it's locked and loaded with the highest intense, most concentrated amount of far infrared. And far infrared, while I'm speaking about it, is the wavelength in the infrared spectrum that is fantastic for detox. That's the one that goes into the body, into the water molecules, helps with the mitochondria, everything I was just talking about as far as helping to increase your core temperature. And that's what you really need. And that's what's going to cause you to sweat out everything and to start the elimination process. So if detox is your thing, and that's what your most important thing, there's lots of other benefits which we can talk about, but if that's your priority, then far infrared is all you really need right now. And the solo system, or the solo by itself, which is the domes, is a great way to get started. And eventually if you want to get, a wooden cabin, go for it, but you don't need to. And so I'd rather people get started, on their wellness journey and start to feel better and start to detox and start to, just have their body be healthier than get all the wavelengths, everything, and you can always do that later.
Absolutely. And I'm also going to speak to the listeners out there that might be working with another practitioner that says, we have to open up your detox pathways. We have to, do pathway 1 and then pathway 2. And this is where I call BS, because I think it's as simple as, no, you need to get in a sauna to detox your body and open up the cells. And it's that simple. You don't have to do this $10,000 protocol. Save that money, get a sauna, and you're going to be detoxing just the same. I mean, I just think there's so much marketing jargon out there that if you really just look at the basics, like you're doing, you're breaking down, here's what infrared light does, here's what infrared heat does, here's how it's going to help your body. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of studies on it. There's enough literature to back it. Boom. That's simple. Mm-hmm. And so I just think people tend to make detox more complex than it has to be.
I totally agree.
It's a simple answer.
Yeah, it is so simple. I mean, I hear so many different protocols and it's like really overwhelming to the brain of thinking, oh my goodness, I had to do all of that. I mean, if you just start with a Sunlighten sauna, start with a solo, start with far infrared. I mean, back in 2005, we did a study, we didn't, but the University of Missouri, Kansas City did a study and showed, and it was a double-blind, placebo-controlled, randomized trial. So, I mean, it was robust. It was, for 6 weeks, a long trial, 3 times a week. But it was against another, traditional sauna, but also had a little bit of infrared, but it wasn't our heaters. And our heaters, just while we're on that topic, what makes them special is that they have the highest concentration of infrared. So you're getting it like the most absorbed into your body, similar to supplements that when you're receiving nutritional elements, you want the highest concentration. You don't want the fillers. You don't want the extras, right? So it's the same way with Sunlighten, no fillers. It's just 100% the highest quality, most amount of far infrared possible. And so anyway, in that study, we showed, I mean, this is a long time ago, but it was just so eye-opening because there was somebody who came in and had arsenic in their body. And back then, people weren't talking about that kind of stuff. I mean, nobody was talking about, mercury and lead and cadmium and arsenic. I mean, they just weren't talking about it. And how powerful that after the study that we found they were, in the Sunlighten and the arsenic was gone. I mean, that's such a simple thing, right? It's like 3 times a week for 30 minutes. And there weren't other, we didn't control the amount of water. We didn't control anything else that they did. The only element was, was the sauna. And so that's just one example. There's lots of, like you said, there's lots of other studies, the BUS study, which is such a powerful study showing how sweat, is so important in removing heavy metals and as well as toxic chemicals, from the body. And it's actually there's more toxins removed in that study from sweat, than in the blood and the urine, which is amazing because you think most people test, and I know myself last year I did, some testing, which was awesome. But it was all in my blood, right? And then I tested for mercury, I tested for lead, I tested for all that, stuff. But I know better in the sense that I'm still doing even though I don't have anything in my blood, you don't know. I mean, unless you're testing your sweat, you don't know. And so you might as well proactively, do it. You're going to feel better. And I mean, you're going to notice an immediate difference. So, it's a good way. It's a long answer to it. It's a good way to start, and keeping it simple in detox is just, take 30 minutes to 40 minutes inside your sauna every day.
And yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing what your body's going to do. So moving on to, we have to talk about fat loss and metabolism, because like I said, whenever I started going to hot yoga, I mean, this is, I don't know, 12 years ago, something like that. That's when I really noticed. And I saw, wait a minute, I'm going maybe only 2-3 times a week and I'm losing weight like crazy. And so it wasn't the cardio and the lifting heavy and all. I'd already done that. Once I added in going to hot yoga, something happened to my metabolism. And I would tell my patients, I'm like, I can't explain it, but something is happening. It's like deep inside. I feel like I'm getting heated up from the inside out, and something is shifting in my metabolism. But now we know that that's real. We actually have some data behind it that shows that doing an infrared sauna will help with weight loss. So I'm going to let you talk about that because you're the expert.
Yeah. Well, there was a study that was done, and you actually heard on your detox podcast, you referenced it, which made me smile because it was a study done with the Sunlighten Sauna, Dr. Beaver, on reducing waist circumference with using a Sunlighten. At the time, it was the signature sauna, to be very, very specific. So how cool. I mean, there's not a lot of unbiased studies on the market with anything where there is no, what's the word? No agenda, and it's with the exact product. What we have today is with the exact product. And, that was done, gosh, it was years and years ago, over 10 years ago. But it showed, the right around the belly, the reduction of belly fat, and which is great. And so how a lot of people say, well, how does that work? And that's the energy that comes in, as we talked about, is heating up. It's going through a state of hormesis. So it's really shocking your body, which helps with immunity. But as far as the weight loss aspect, it's heating up your body, and your body is working to cool itself down. That work that your body is doing is converted, into burning calories. That's a caloric, expenditure. So that's how you lose weight, right? Is, you have to burn more calories than you take in. And when you're sitting, it's just what's so lovely is you can sit inside there and burn calories. And so it's not only helping you, lose weight, but you're also getting that passive cardiovascular conditioning. So you're also increasing your blood flow, you're increasing your oxygen to your brain. You're just getting everything moving and making you healthier. So, which also gives you the extra energy. And a lot of times people who struggle with weight loss also struggle with energy, and because they're holding on to extra fat and extra weight, and they just don't feel like moving. And this accomplishes all of that in one place.
That's absolutely fascinating, because that study, what I found interesting was there was no other changes. It's not like the people were on a diet, or the people were taking a weight loss supplement, or the people were, optimizing their thyroid or anything like that. They were just literally in a sauna. They weren't even exercising in the sauna. They were just sitting in the sauna, and they lost weight around their waist.
Right, exactly. And I mean, now, you can go in there and, you can move, or you can stretch, I mean, you could do other things, to accelerate, your caloric burn. But if you don't want to, and you just want to relax and you want to use it as your sanctuary to meditate or to do breath work and or to set your intentions, to do your visualizations, set your goals, however you choose to use that time, it's up to you. But while you're in there, setting your intentions, you're getting this powerful energy into your body that's changing you. And I love when you said, you could feel that when you were going, you could feel the difference and you could feel something going on. That's another one of my favorite parts of when I'm in there. 'Cause, I mean, I can like literally, I can feel my body, start to tingle and just start to, it's that vital, it's that feeling of life, you feel, and that's the different feeling when we talked about how is infrared different than traditional, or how's it different than steam, or how's it different than the other types, and all, I mean, all products are great. So I'm just trying to explain that for those who've never experienced it, what that experience feels like. And it really does. It feels like activation. It feels like your body's coming to life. Your brain just starts to like deplenish all the stuff it doesn't need and like clear it up. And that brain fog that I just can't, I don't like that feeling, especially like after a long day. Like I want that to go away. And literally you can just go inside your sauna, and it doesn't even have to be that long for that. And you just get that transfer, that receiving the infrared energy, and it just clears everything out. It's wonderful. It's a great tool for people.
So it's funny because back in the day, I used to say, I feel like I'm getting heated from the inside out. And I remember a friend of mine looking at it, you can't get heated from the inside out. I'm like, no, really. It feels like, it doesn't just feel like heat on your skin, because I am heat intolerant. All my listeners know that I can't stand the heat. You'll never find me, moving to Austin or Florida or anything like that. I hate the heat. The only time I'm not bothered by heat is when I'm in a sauna. And because it's different, it's hard to even explain to people, because you might have there might be some listeners that say, oh, no, I can't do that. I hate the heat. No, it's just different. It's the way that infrared heat is penetrating, like you're explaining now. So now I'm understanding it better, penetrating the skin and getting a lot deeper than just on the surface.
Right, exactly. You just kind of, I always think about like the waves, as in like the ocean, like these long waves. It's one of the reasons, a tip that I can give while I'm talking about it is, a lot of times people think they have to wait to get in. They want to, warm up, their sauna. You don't need to do that. In fact, for detox, especially for detox, for inflammation, I would recommend you get right in, because, and this is the visualization I'm trying to communicate with the waves, is when you turn it on and the infrared starts to come through the heaters, through the panels, the wavelength that's being emitted is if you could see it, it's really long and smooth when you first turn it on. As the temperature rises, that wavelength starts to change, and it starts to get shorter and becomes a little more strict. You're thinking of like ocean waves, like those beautiful, like, or like a dolphin jumping, that just wonderful flow, and then all of a sudden, if you have like really choppy, a storm comes and you have really choppy waves, that hurts on the body, and it's friction, and, it's not this gentle flow. So when you first get in, you have that gentle flow. It is the easiest time to receive the most amount of energy. So it's the most efficient way to receive it. And then you just sit in there and do something else, while you're receiving everything, and let your body accelerate, and let your body have that experience at the same time with the sauna, versus going in when it's already, warm. You're missing a little bit of the sweet spot if you do that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Unless it's personal preference. There's some people, everybody has their own, kind of quirks of, I want to go in when and if that's the way you want your experience, it's fine. I'm just sharing scientifically from the optimal way, especially if your listeners, I listened, to a lot of your work, and I get a feeling for the people that, who you're addressing. And and I can kind of see what they look like, and they're just struggling, right? And they're just tired of struggling, and they're just tired of having that like, ugh, feeling. I do everything I can. I can't lose weight, and my brain is foggy, and
Yep.
I'm just tired. And like you said, like, you don't want to have to worry about getting the couch at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And using infrared will completely change that. I mean, I can't tell you enough how the energy alone, it is worth doing it. Just getting that boost of energy where you just, you want to be able to go and do anything, do more of what you want to do.
Live life. Yeah. Well, kind of
Yeah.
piggybacking off of that, this is also cool for those people that they're so low in energy and they are so inflamed, like you mentioned, inflammation, that to work out is out of the question. If they go do a workout of any kind, it kicks their ass for 2 or 3 days, and literally they're piles of mud for a couple days, and they're not able to do anything else in their life. So this sounds like, and again, I'm not saying that all you have to do is a sauna and then you can hang up your gym shoes, but this is a fantastic way to start to get the benefits, almost like exercise in a box, to get the benefits of exercise until we can rejuvenate your cells, until you can reach that point of detoxification, reduction of inflammation, increase of energy. Now, maybe after a month use of a sauna, you're going to be like, I think I'm ready. I'm going to go do maybe a 20-minute hit workout and just see how my
Mhm.
body does. So it almost sounds like this is great preparation and great healing at the same time.
Yes, it's great preparation, great healing. And then since you talked about doing a hit workout, then after you do that hit workout, because your body, is going to be a little just inflamed naturally, because you're moving your body in different ways than you've done before if you haven't done it, right? So then you want to get back into the sauna for muscle recovery, because the different parts of the infrared wavelength, the time where you really want the entire spectrum is for inflammation,
Okay.
because each wavelength penetrates the body at different levels. So for example, the far infrared is going to be absorbed. I talked about that water molecules and the mitochondria. So you're going to help reduce inflammation through that process. The mid infrared is a little bit hotter, of a wavelength. It's a little bit shorter. So it goes to your joints and your tissues, and it's excellent for increasing flexibility, increasing agility. There was a study done by University of Auburn showing the increase in agility and flexibility and helping people move their body easier as a result of using the infrared sauna. And then the near, which is the invisible one, goes into the skin. So for inflammation, it's great for accelerating cell turnover. It helps reducing skin inflammation, as
Mhm.
well as reducing inflammation on the surface of the skin. So for example, I always, share when I was training for a marathon a couple of years ago, I would go inside my sauna because my feet and my knees, like those areas specifically, felt like there was just needles going into there. I mean, my feet hurt. So my sauna is in my basement. I could barely walk down the stairs to get to, my sauna. And I would put my feet right up against my near infrared LEDs. And instantly I could feel the energy reduce the inflammation. I could feel my foot, like that whole needles and glass, horrible, like crackling feeling just started to dissipate and go away. So inflammation, and then, red light, which we also now have in our Impulse Smart Sauna, is one level over. Doesn't go as deep as near infrared, but there's a beautiful synergistic effect when you combine red and near together, especially for inflammation. So that's definitely, for inflammation, it's great to have the entire infrared spectrum.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Oh my gosh. Because so many people are inflamed in one way or another, whether their bodies are just inflamed because they're fighting toxins, hence the detox, or they're just inflamed because they're battling thyroid or hormone imbalance. And they just, I hear that a lot, that a person will literally feel inflamed.
Mhm.
And my audience who says that knows that it's more than just, joint pain, although it's going to help with that. But inflammation is so deep. It's like that full body inflammation where your cells are inflamed. So as you're doing this, you're taking down that inflammation too, which ties back to what we said in the beginning about prepping your body to receive whatever nutrients, micronutrients, thyroid hormone, bioidentical hormones, to be able to receive that and do the work that it's supposed to do.
Yeah, it's like, it's to build on that. The Sunlighten Sauna is a full body inflammation hack, right? So it completely takes care of your entire body at all levels, especially particularly I will add the Impulse Smart Sauna, because that is the one that independently and separately has far infrared, completely different than mid infrared, separate from near, and then now we've added red. So you have 4 different parts of the infrared spectrum coming into the body and affecting and reducing the inflammation at the different levels. In fact, on that note, the far infrared specifically, there's studies, this is fascinating to me, that it activates a gene inside the body that controls inflammation. So when you receive far infrared specifically, you're helping to control your inflammation. And that's inflammation is, that's the #1 cause of aging, right? And everybody, if you think about starting, a new year with, new goals and helping you live your best and fullest life ever, one of the things you absolutely have to do in some way is reduce your inflammation in your body, either through nutrition or through sauna, or ideally through both. That would be fabulous,
Yes.
And it's a great, easy hack, to take care of your entire body versus just one part.
Okay, you mentioned aging, so now I'm going to move on to skin, because
Yeah.
I am determined to not age. I want to look like Christy Brinkley when I'm 70 or whatever the heck she is. But talk about the surface, the aesthetics, the aesthetic benefits that we can get from the sauna too. I want to learn more about what I can expect.
Yeah. Well, I just have to say, you look beautiful. So, Christy has nothing on you. So,
She got
and
20 years on me though, Connie. I got a
oh,
plan. I got a plan.
well, you're doing an excellent plan. And I saw you in person, at Dragonfly, and you're even more beautiful in person. So,
Love you. Thank you.
and a beautiful spirit. So anyway, I just had to say that because you can just tell when you meet somebody. It's energy, right? It's the same thing as infrared. So you just, that transfer of, you have a beautiful, beautiful healing energy, you're authentic, you're real. It's fantastic. I'm honored to be here. So back to, what was the question?
Skin anti-aging. Yeah.
So we have a saying at Sunlighten, because we have a day spa that's downstairs in our headquarters here in Overland Park, Kansas. Hopefully you come visit. We have a saying that says, purify the body and the skin will follow. And whenever I say that, I think of far infrared and near infrared. And let me explain what I mean by that. So far infrared, which is the longest wavelength, that's the ocean flow dolphin one I talked about, that you want to get as soon as you step inside your sauna, it starts to being absorbed. And that absorption causes that transfer, causes that the movement of your water molecules, causes the release of these toxic chemicals through sweat. So when you are purifying your body and you're sweating out these bad things, like we found the BUS study, mercury, cadmium, lead, there's just tons of other aluminum, tons of other chemicals that were released through sweat. Your body, starts to be purified, and you have this beautiful glow. And it's a glow that people, aspire to have. And you typically a lot of times don't get that unless you work out, and you have, like, a lot of times runners, after they run, they just have this, like, healthy look. It's the same thing with the saunas, because the far infrared is purifying the body, and you get this, you're getting your increase in oxygen. So you're getting your increase in circulation, your increased blood flow. We know all of the increased blood flow and the changes in the endothelial lining of the heart from these studies for over 25 years in Asia with far infrared. So this is real science of how it's working with your body. It's making you healthier. It's just, infusing this wonderful natural oxygenated flow that makes you look healthier. So that makes your skin radiate and look better. And then on the other side of the spectrum is the near infrared, which penetrates the skin. And the near infrared, the invisible part of the spectrum, penetrates the deepest. And that's what helps to boost elastin, boosts collagen. So that's going to give you that physical appearance, the actual tangible appearance, different than the glow. The glow is coming from the inside out, right? And it's like you look good because you feel good. And so somebody is receiving that and they're seeing, they're like, wow, like I want what she's having. She looks amazing. And then you also have the near infrared that's actually changing the structure of your skin. So it's accelerating the cell turnover. It's increasing the production of collagen, elastin. It's removing, reducing stress, oxidative stress on the skin. And then also one step over is the red light, which does the same thing. It's just a shorter wavelength. So it doesn't go as deep as the near, but when you combine the two together, which is what we do in the smart sauna, then you're getting double duty, which is fantastic. And you're getting just like, you can't get a more effective, skin treatment in 30 minutes. And then you could combine it with far infrared and you get the glow. I mean, it's the most beautiful tool for skin rejuvenation, skin improvement, skin tone. And then also you get that just great feeling about your skin because people compliment, and that's just, it feels good when somebody says, what are you doing? You look great.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I just got out of my sauna.
Exactly. And it will not make you break out. Just side note, because I know some women are, well, I don't want to sweat and break out. And if I'm sweating out toxins and it stays on my skin, I mean, number one, that's why you go like wash your face and shower right after because you want to get the sweat off. You don't want to just let it sit there. But no, sweating in this way is not all of a sudden going to make you break out because you're literally getting toxins out of your skin that could cause pimples if you are prone to acne.
Right. Exactly. It's a very safe, natural way, to rid your body of, of all the impurities. And then ultimately you feel, when that happens, you feel lighter. And it's so interesting because, I've been doing this a long time and that was one of the first feelings that I had. And I didn't understand at the time back in my basement when we started the company, I didn't understand the science behind it. I'm like, God, I feel different. This is not like just going inside, going outside and feeling the heat. It's not like going inside a steam. It was a totally different experience than I'd ever had before. And even the sweat size, even the sweat molecule, like the consistency of the sweat, it's different than your sweat when you're exercising. It's more viscous and oily and it's just larger. It's really fascinating.
It is. It's totally different. It's totally different. You can't explain it until you do it, but it is totally different.
Right. But you'll love the way your skin, I mean, the people who are listening, you'll love the way your skin looks and feels. I mean, it feels just more soft and youthful and, makes you want to do it again.
Yeah. Now, okay. So on that note, how many times a week should someone use their sauna to get the max benefit?
Yeah. The best is if you can do it like 3 times a week. So that's great. I will say you can do it every day. I get that question asked all the time. Just like pay attention to how you feel, especially if you're also exercising, because this is exercise is, active cardiovascular conditioning. This is passive cardiovascular conditioning. So you're doing both. So you just have to make sure that you're not overdoing it because it's, it's intense, which is good. I mean, it's good. It's healing for your body, but you just don't want to overdo it. And you want to make sure on that note, you want to make sure you stay adequately hydrated. And when you're sweating also, you do need to pay attention to your electrolytes. And I don't know if you have a certain product that you use, but I always just, it doesn't matter to me what product people use. I always have it advise them to consult somebody that they trust. And I recommend, we don't have specific products here at Sunlighten, but you are going to be losing, you know, some minerals, and so you need to pay attention to that and make sure you rehydrate and remineralize and, you know, add electrolytes back into your body.
Right. In order to even just recover from that. But no, I mean, well, I like the fact that I would do it every day, but I like the fact that there's no pressure, you know, especially if people are like, oh my gosh, I can't do this every single day.
Yeah.
I mean, just even 3 times a week is all you really need to get those stackable benefits.
Yeah, let's talk about pressure for a second, because it's one of my favorite things that I don't know, a couple of years ago, I'm trying to remember when I did a mind shift in that, because that's me. I put pressure on myself for everything.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
everything, you know, I have 2 kids and a business and, you know, wonderful husband and business partner. And I'm just, you know, just constantly nobody's putting it on me. I'm putting it on myself. And one of the things I would always do with my sauna is the pressure of had to stay in there. So in Impulse, there's 6 preset programs, and they're all timed. You know, the programs: cardio, weight loss, anti-aging, pain relief, relaxation, and detox. Okay, so it's all preset. The brain behind there is done. You don't have to think. You want pain relief, bam, you press the pain relief, you know, button for inflammation. So, but it's timed, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, the reason I bring that up is I would mentally be like, okay, I don't have 30 minutes today, or I don't have 45 minutes. I don't have that time. And so I wouldn't do it, which is
Mhm.
just silly. So I don't want anybody thinking that way ever. It really, it's better to start, do as much as you can, and then get out, you know, than not do it at all.
Mhm.
So don't accept if you know, your brain starts to go down that path. And so I'm saying it because it's going to happen. So just be aware of it. When your brain starts to say, oh, I just don't have time, just cancel that thought. Say, you know what? I'm just going to go in. Even if you just have 10 minutes to receive that energy, it's an incredible 10 minutes of healing that you've just done for your body. It is a wonderful thing that you've just allowed your body to receive this natural, safe, healing, activated energy. Do it. And don't feel the pressure. And if you can't do it 3 times a week, to your point, don't worry about it. Let it
Mhm.
go. Do what you can do. Anything you can do is better than not doing it.
Absolutely. And for all the type A's out there, I get that. I have the same mindset, Connie. I get that because I feel like unless I can do everything,
Right.
it's not worth it. But I've shifted that as well, especially when it comes to breath work, meditation. I think I'm too type A to just sit here and do. You know, my mind will go all over the place. But if I'm in a sauna doing it, again, it's that type A in me. I'm like, I'm getting 2 for 1. Like, I'm getting my sauna time and I'm getting my breath work meditation time. And so it's kind of like I use that as a combination to take some time for myself because realistically, if you don't have 10 minutes to sit in a sauna, you need to reorganize your life. Like you have other problems outside, you know? So yeah, I mean, you can do it any time of day, right? You mentioned doing it after a workout for healing, but I've heard you mention you do it before bed. You could do it when you first wake up to get going in the morning. Is there a best time?
It's personal preference. There is not, if best time is what is best for you, 100%. And I mean, for me, my personal protocol is morning. That's just, I mean, I like to supercharge my day, and I do all my kind of morning routine. And then I feel like, okay, I'm like, you know, ready. But will I do it, you know, later on, especially at one of those days where it's been a day, you know, and I had so much going on, and I want just a little bit of the reset button, then I'll, you know, I'll can do it later. So it's really what's best. It's best for you. You'll figure it out. You do it, you know, figure out your own routine, and just keep working and adjusting until you're like, okay, this is what works best for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just have to figure out what works best.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm going to circle back really quickly to the fat loss because I heard you talk with a friend of mine and you were talking about all the different biohacking modalities. So there's the cold plunge, which nobody wants to do. And then there's the sauna and there's HBOT. And I mean, you could really, you know, kind of go off the rails with with biohacking yourself into longevity and anti-aging. But it sounds like pretty much the sauna is all you need. You don't need all of that. So is there some kind of, so with a cold plunge, where I'm going with this, with a cold plunge, we know that there's that brown fat activation that occurs that also helps with fat loss. And then there's the cold exposure, that's the cold shock that increases metabolism. But we already talked about with the sauna, the infrared sauna, you're getting that heat stress, which the body has to work overtime and burn more calories to cool the body down. Is there some kind of connection with that brown fat activation as well?
That's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I'll have to look into that. I don't know the answer to that. I know that because we get asked a lot about cold and hot, and it's the same either way. Whether you go hot or you go cold, you're stressing the body.
Yeah.
And so it's a preference, really. I mean, there's a benefit whenever you shock the body. And I always use the visual of lifting weights, and you have that, I tell my kids when they work out, and they're like, "Oh, Mom, I'm so sore," and I'm like, "Yay, that's awesome. Good for you. That means you're stressing the body, you worked it out and you're getting stronger. You're sore because you're getting stronger. Good for you." And that's the same thing with hot and cold, is you're shocking, you're activating your heat shock proteins, which are helping to build your immunity, getting those armor jackets, on your mitochondria, and helping to make your cells stronger. And so that when something is introduced that shouldn't be into your body, and some type of influenza or a virus, or, your body feels like, no, not me, not today. Sorry, I've had, infrared, and my body is stronger. And in cold does, very, very similar. So it really is just, it's a personal preference, but a lot of the same benefits because of the way cold and heat work with the body. A lot of the same benefits. Infrared is a little bit different when you enter in the different parts of the infrared spectrum, because it's not one dimensional. It's not just, you have far, which is, again, it activates like the inflammation gene. There's lots, it helps with depression. There's lots of different, more complex, specific benefits with infrared, because you have 3 separate wavelengths that affect the body in 3 different ways. So that's my area of expertise. And I can only speak to cold in the sense of, I know that feeling when you go into a cold plunge, you're like, and I get the shock.
Yeah.
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 I
A lot of people
to,
hate it. They're like, no. And especially thyroid patients, because they're like, I'm cold already. I really don't want to get into an ice bath. But what struck me about that conversation was that you really can narrow it down and get all the benefits of all these biohacking tools in a
in one
sauna,
place, right?
in one place. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a complete whole body, longevity hack. I mean, and you can be smart about it and stack your hack.
Stack your hack.
Stack your hack, and you can do other things, which is, I mean, I really, really like, I love that I can go in there and do, I mean, just the list goes on and on and on, all the different things,
You can do work, or you can do breath work, right?
Yeah.
You can sit there with your computer, it doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. And a lot of times I will bring in something that I can capture my thoughts, because I notice when I start to get in there and my brain starts to kind of reset, then if I stay in there long enough, then after it resets, it becomes extremely creative and innovative. And man, those creative juices are just like firing on all cylinders. And so I want to capture all those thoughts before I leave. And so I will either put it onto my phone, or I'll put it onto a notepad, or I will capture that, like, oh, what about this? What about this? What about this? And it's great. So it's another good tool. If you're writing a book or you're brainstorming, it's a great way to activate the brain cells to kind of just generate some new ideas and new thoughts.
Now you had mentioned depression too. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, depression, brain fog, like you just said. So this will even help with mood.
Yeah, there is a study done from Dr. Rason in Wisconsin on depression. It's fascinating. It really was focused on the far infrared part. So the part of the wavelength where you heat up the body, right? And you elevate the core temperature. And we've shown, again, just to validate sunlight, and specifically, we're not just sharing information and we can't deliver, it's important. So we did a study on our product, whether or not our sauna can increase your body's core temperature. And we found in 30 minutes, we could elevate the body's core temperature up to 3 degrees. And in this study that Dr. Rason did in Germany with this very expensive piece of equipment, found that people came in that were severely depressed. And in only one session, they were able to relieve themselves of the depression symptoms for up to 6 weeks, one session. And so the theory is that a lot of people who suffer from depression are not able to cool themselves down, like their thermoregulation switch in their body is turned off. And what the infrared sauna helps with is, as it's elevating the core temperature, then it kind of helps the activate, and then the body cools itself down, and now it's able to do that on its own. So at night, for example, a lot of times there are people who are depressed, they don't sleep well because their body they just cannot regulate their temperature. And so they can't cool themselves down. But after you do infrared sauna, you can naturally on your own cool yourself down. So there's continued research on this as we speak out in California. So I'm super excited to follow that, just to take a couple of different steps further. But there's lots of also studies on PBM, which is a fancy term for near infrared and red light therapy, photobiomodulation, on the brain specifically for depression as well, and for Alzheimer's and dementia, and showing definitely improved as well. So imagine you have both. You have the far infrared, and you have three. You have far, you have near, and you have red light. You have those three together in one place. So you're getting it at different experiences that are just going to help your body thermoregulate. It's going to help your body, activate your switch. It's going to help your brain as far as relieve depression symptoms and help clear up the brain. I mean, there's great articles about dementia and memory loss, and just because it just helps the brain activate its natural abilities if it's stuck. So that's another and I think that's going back to the whole creative aspect. And I talked about when I'm inside my sauna, I'm like, first I'd chill and kind of get rid of the day. And then like you have the creative juices that start to flow.
Well, and there's also, because this is near and dear to my heart, because my mom passed from Alzheimer's, and back when it started with her, I didn't have the knowledge that I do now to implement these different modalities that could have helped her. But when you're talking about Alzheimer's, we know it's type 3 diabetes. So if you look at the benefits of sauna and infrared, you can see, okay, we're getting the reduction of insulin because we're reducing inflammation, we're increasing the metabolism. That's in general just going to help balance someone's blood sugar and have more glucose regulation, more glucose control, lowered insulin. And now we know that Alzheimer's is type 3 diabetes with high insulin levels, and it's correlated with inflammation. So if you're doing that, then you're also kind of providing another layer of prevention and protection, especially if it's genetically in your family, like it is mine. That's just another thing you can do to make sure you don't go down that path, because anyone that's gone down that path with a loved one knows it's the worst thing in the world. You can't even explain it. And there's no way in hell I want that for my future. So I'm going to do everything I can to prevent dementia and Alzheimer's. And this is just another tool in what I can do for prevention.
Yep, exactly. It's an easy tool.
So I don't mean to simplify it for the audience, but to me, after this conversation, it just seems like a no-brainer to get a sauna. I mean, literally, I don't know why every listener out there, if you're struggling with anything that we just talked about, and I get it that it's an investment. I get it. But you have so many different models that you've really done a great job at Sunlighten at making it accessible and affordable. And you have payment plans for people. And it's like, why would you not, even if you don't want to go big, like I'm going big or going home, but if you don't want to go big, I mean, get the personal portable
Mhm.
one. It's not expensive and you're going to get all of these benefits. Why would you not add this into your life? Why? It doesn't even make sense why you wouldn't. I mean, this is, I mean, it's just, it's that fantastic. It is literally that fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate that vote of confidence, and I agree. And the solo, I mean, I mentioned it earlier. If you're considering something, and obviously funds are always an issue. That is it's a great product to consider. There's two parts to it. There's the domes that have 5 of our patented heaters. You're getting the most amount of far infrared into your body. There's also a pad as well. If you really want to save, you want to trim and get as lean as possible, don't get the pad. Just get the domes, and get started. And you can always add the pad later. The core temperature study was done with just the domes. The UMKC study was done on the solo with just the domes. So just get started, and that's the best thing that you can do. You will definitely, feel better. It's a lie down model. It's easy. You can put it anywhere and just plug it straight into the wall, and get started.
Well, and you have such a great team that people can actually, I
Aw.
mean, you can go on the website and order, and we're going to give you a discount code and the link, but you have such a great team that people can even jump on a call
Mhm.
and really kind of figure out and work through what is the best model for them.
Yes, and we're very passionate about making sure we give the right, fit. Like we want the right fit, because we have four different units to choose from, and then within those units there's up to 5 different sizes and different woods. I mean, there's a lot of choices, and we want to help guide and ask the right questions so that we can help navigate the path, and help you. So anybody here at Sunlight, you can call us, you can go and chat on the website, go to sunlighten.com. I mean, however whatever works best for you. You can do it mobile, whatever works best for you. We do have a discount that we are offering. You do need it in order to get the discount. You do need to mention the code. So make sure you reference, however you decide to do it. If you do Dr. Amy or whatever your code that you put in the notes, but use that to get your significant discount. It's up to $600 off.
Yeah. So depending on which model you choose, kind of depends
Yep.
on the discount, but you'll get a discount with each model. It just depends on which one you choose. And you can go to get.sunlighten.com/Dr. Amy, or like Connie said, if you call in, just mention my name or put it in the notes. That way they know to give you that discount.
Yep, exactly. That's the most important thing that they need to do to get the discount, is just say, Dr. Amy, this is how I heard, this is how I found out. And then that's all you need to say, and they'll take the notes and they'll deduct it.
Well, thank you for giving that to my listeners as well, because I'm obviously passionate about this. I think it can really be a game changer for, again, even a lot of my patients they're doing really well, they're getting optimized, but they're just a little bit stuck. Or like the one I talked about that I talked to yesterday, something's going on in the body. And if you've been exposed to toxins, if you've been exposed to heavy metals, if you've been exposed to, different things that have come out in the last couple of years that you want to get out of your body, this is a great way to do it as well, because I've talked about how that's stopping weight loss and how toxins are stopping weight loss and inflammation is stopping weight loss, and it's slowing your metabolism. It's slowing your thyroid function. So again, I'm going to say it one more time. It's kind of a no brainer. This is like an all in one thing that you can get so many benefits out of, even if it's just for pain and you don't want the detox aspect. But This has just been, it's been phenomenal for me because I've learned so much. Now I'm going to go into my sauna use with just greater knowledge and knowing that I'm doing such good things for my body in the immediate and then for the long term as well. So to be able to hit skin and metabolism, inflammation and pain and my brain and protection all in one, it's just phenomenal. I love it. So I just wanted to thank you for coming on
Well,
and
thank
sharing this
you.
because I learned a lot as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I've been looking forward to this ever since I met you at Dragonfly. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to have our conversation. So this has just been great. It's been extremely enjoyable. I love, hearing you share all of your wisdom as well. And so I learned something as well. So it's, what a great session. Thank you so much.
Fantastic. Thank you, Connie.